Hi, everyone. Thanks so much for being here. We've got myself and Jamie, and we'll do...
Hello.
I think there's a little delay.
Oh, hello.
So we'll do introductions in a minute, but let me just give you an idea of what to expect today. So the chat window is there if you have any questions. I'm going to sketch it a little. I'm recording the webinar and I'll send that out to you afterwards. So make sure you've confirmed your subscription with Antenna, and I've included it in the links below in case you want to make sure you're subscribed. And yeah, I'll send you all kinds of information, and you'll get future webinar info as well. So today we're going to talk about how to create an online editorial calendar and plan your online content. So the agenda for today is that we'll do introductions here in 1 minute. We'll talk about why planning is important, and we'll talk about editorial calendars, what they are, and give you some examples. And then we'll show you how to schedule content. And of course, Jamie will then give you a demo of HiWork. So if you don't know me already, my name is Christina, and I run a business called Antenna, and we do these webinars once a month. My business focuses on social media management, online marketing, basically helping you create branded content to reach the audience, the right audience for your goals. I used to work at the Olympics in Vancouver for 3 years. I helped lead the development of the education program's website. So that was a really big job. And I also did all the social media for the education program during that time, which was early days of social media. So I've been doing it since the beginning. And Jamie, so maybe I'll get you to introduce yourself.
Okay. Hello. Where is that? Okay. Am I in?
Yep.
Okay. All right. Hi, everyone. My name is Jamie. I'm the content specialist over at HiWork. And for those of you who aren't familiar with HiWork, we allow marketing agencies to plan and improve their content with their clients and their stakeholders. And this is my first doing a webinar, and I'm super excited to be here today and excited to learn.
Awesome. Thank you so much for being here. It's kind of weird because I'm looking at the camera.
Yeah.
All right. Okay, so I'm just going to tell you a bit more about online marketing, inbound marketing. Basically, what it's all about is attracting people to your brand rather than interrupting with a message. So you want to deliver content to your target audience in the places where they already are. So that's usually, you know, on their device or on their tablet, even on TV and stuff, but it's all digital. It's all in the digital space these days. And when you create content that resonates with a very niche audience, you're going to be more likely to actually convert them to taking an action, whether that's purchasing your product, signing up for a service, or anything like that. So again, the key is to attract rather than interrupt. And this is called content marketing, and it's often called inbound content marketing. So an editorial calendar, for the purposes of this webinar, we're going to define it as something that it's a plan that highlights content themes on a timeline. As simple as that. It can be as long as you want or as short as you want. I'll often create multiple levels. So we might create a year one that has blocks of themes throughout the year, including holidays or anything specific for a brand. Some brands have a lot of activity in the summers. Some have a lot of activity around winter holidays. So whatever is important for your brand, block out a big year-long calendar. And then you can narrow in and do it on a quarterly basis, on a monthly basis, or even on a weekly or daily basis. And then when you actually get into building the content, I call that a content schedule because it's taking that editorial calendar and actually creating the content. So sometimes an editorial calendar is created as a spreadsheet. And those of you who are used to using like Hootsuite or other programs like that to schedule some of your social media, you'd used to create all these spreadsheets and then bulk upload them. And then you'd have to just make sure, you'd have to go through and make sure everything's fine. And sometimes there's a lot of tweaks that had to be made. And you couldn't really visually see how it looks. And when you're a company like myself, like an online marketing company, or you have clients where you're doing their social media for them in any way, then, or even working with a large team, it's hard to share that content without them seeing the visual of how it's actually going to look on that Facebook page or on that Twitter account. And I found that with clients, that was definitely a downfall, was looking at this spreadsheet, you can see that I'd have links to images, but they'd have to click on that link and go look at the image. And it was just really, I don't know, like,
Convoluted.
Yes, convoluted and, time consuming. And I did also work on a team where there was multiple people working on the content, and I'd send it over to a copywriter, and she would look at a spreadsheet and go, oh my God, I can't look at spreadsheets. I don't understand them. They don't make sense to me. So I'd have to convert all this into a Word document just for her and then put it back into the spreadsheet for my purposes. So it was a lot of craziness. So much better. This is part of why we have HiWork involved today, is because they came up with a way, way better system. This is very visual. You can look at it from a calendar point of view, but Jamie will tell you more about that. And the calendar, so this is where you can do your high-level planning, and you can even get in and actually write your content right into this, and it'll schedule it. But you can also use it as an editorial calendar to block out your yearly themes, to block out your monthly or weekly or daily themes. And you can look at it in a timeline view, which this has been very, very handy for me working with collaborators and clients, because they can actually visually see what it's going to look like on their Facebook page in a much better way than a spreadsheet will ever do. And then I have to say, I have some of the least tech savvy people as clients. That's part of why they hire me, because they don't want to do this themselves. And I send them a link to HiWork, and I don't even have to train them. They know exactly what to do, how to leave a comment, how to write, approve or reject or give feedback. It's an excellent collaborative tool. But really, what's the point of planning content? Why do we want to do this? I always say, like, I love this quote, a goal without a plan is just a wish. It's really important to have a plan no matter what you do. And it should include your goals and your measurable objectives. And then once you know what your goals are, you kind of need to know then who do you need to reach in order to achieve those goals. And it might be several different groups of people, but if you can niche those groups and then create content that speaks to each of those niches, you're going to actually reach them in a more authentic way, a way where they're actually going to take notice of your brand and be interested and engage. And so then the next part of a plan is tactics and implementation, and that's a lot where the editorial calendar starts to come in. So yes, definitely for your planning your content, before you even start writing any content, you need to think about those things that I just talked about. The goals and measurable objectives, your target audience, segmented into niche groups, figure out which niche groups are on which platforms, because you might have one audience on Facebook and a totally different audience on, say, Snapchat. But it doesn't mean that you need to be not on either of those platforms. You should probably be on both, but you need to speak to the audience that is on that platform. So let's see. Yeah, I think I covered all that. So why schedule? A lot of people think that scheduling content is flat, and it's, so a lot of people want to just keep doing the live posts. But what scheduling does is it keeps you top of mind with your fans, and it maintains a consistent presence in the newsfeed. Newsfeeds only show a very small percentage of the content until someone else likes it or shares it, and then it starts to go further. So if you're consistently posting content, you're going to increase the likelihood that someone actually sees it. By creating posts ahead of time, you'll also be able to thoughtfully develop your brand persona. Instead of doing it ad hoc, live all the time, you can actually think about, well, what is the persona of my brand? Do they use words like implement or execute? That's what I say for intent anyway. It's like, I want to go positive, so it's implement rather than execute. Yeah, and so you also get the opportunity to become an expert curator in your niche area of expertise. So you can find articles and resources out there that are relevant to your audience, and people will start looking to you as the expert in that topic, even if the content is from another person. But authenticity cannot be automated. It's super important to schedule your content, but in order to keep it not feeling like it's coming from a robot and that it's flat and just scheduled, you want to combine your scheduled posts with personal interactions and engagements. So that's where you want to do some live in the moment posts, but also schedule the content. So think of it as an extension of your customer relationship management or your customer service. So you want to be interacting with your fans. You want to be reaching out to influencers and leaving comments on their content in order to grow your following. And you want to be posting some sort of live in the moment current events, making sure things are relevant for right now. And we can definitely help you with that at Antenna. We can manage the interactions, but we also can train clients to do the ad hoc live posting in a way that it complements whatever's being scheduled, so that it's very collaborative. So 6 steps to growing and nurturing community. I've included links in the offers button to the previous webinars that I recorded for these next 2 topics. But I just want to go over them again because they're really important when you're thinking about scheduling your content or creating an editorial calendar for your brand. You want to think about these 6 steps to growing and nurturing your community. So the first step is to create a spot where visitors can take an action. So I call this the hub or the destination. So that's the first thing you want to do. Make sure there's a place that you're driving your traffic to. The second thing is to make sure your brand is consistent across all your platforms. So that if someone finds you on Facebook and then they later find you on your website and then maybe later they find you on Twitter, they will know that it's the same brand, and it might take them 3 or 4 times to connect the dots, but then once they do, you're in their head, and that's where you want to be. And then the third one is to participate and interact with influencers and fans. So that's where I was saying, go leave comments on other people's content, particularly if you're adding value to the conversation and if they're large, they have a large following of your target audience. And I should ask if you have anything, feel free to pop in and say anything.
Sure, yeah. No, I mean, all these are sounding great. Yeah. They're exactly what you want to be doing.
Cool. Yeah, I'm just like rallying ahead. So where did I leave off? Yeah, so then number 4 is content. Generate and curate your content. And I'll talk about the 4 pillars of shareable content. And then hashtags, of course, we want to look at all kinds of hashtags, relevant trending topics. I should probably do a whole webinar just on hashtags. I think I'll do that actually, because that's a big topic.
They're everywhere.
They're everywhere. And like Instagram in particular, like if you want to grow your Instagram following, you should be using at least 15 hashtags.
Yeah, especially if you want to find one hashtag in particular and just stick with it.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like I find with hashtags, it's a great way to, reach an audience way outside of your current audience, because they might not be following you, but they might be following that particular topic. And then paid placement, of course, you want to pay for some promotion. And just get back in the frame. It's a little bit better. So paid promotion is the number 6 out of the 6 steps. So just a quick summary again. You want a destination, you want a consistent brand, you want to participate with influencers and your fans. You want to create content and generate content. So you want to curate that and create new content. That's where the editorial plan comes in. And hashtags, and then paid placement. So the 4 pillars of shareable content, which you've probably all heard me say before if you've ever attended any of my workshops before. Number 1 is be helpful. People love to have tips that are going to help improve their lives. Be emotional. So of course that's funny, be heartwarming, any of that stuff, that goes really, really far. And this will help people share your content. And the more people share your content, the bigger your reach will be and the more likely you'll show up in their news feeds. And then 4 is to be awe-inspiring. So that's when things are quirky or like out of this world or really out there. And that's a little bit harder to hit. But if you can hit all 4 of these, then your content is most likely going to go viral. So, hey Orca, as I mentioned, like it's a tool that we use every single day. We couldn't live without it. All our clients love it. Whenever I put them on it, they're right into it. So I'm going to turn it over to Jamie to talk about that.
All right, cool. Thank you, Christina. Thanks for all that good stuff.
Yeah. Is that good?
Okay. All right. So like I mentioned before, my name is Jamie. I'm the content specialist over at HiWork. and I'm really excited to be here today with Christina talking about content planning, and I'm going to talk about how HiWork can help you with that process. So let's dive right in. So a really high-level overview of HiWork. We enable marketing teams and their stakeholders to seamlessly plan and approve social media content. So when we're thinking about marketing teams and big brands, they need to be able to communicate their plans with their stakeholders and their clients. But there's a hole and there's a gap there because a lot of current content planning tools don't allow that opportunity or that avenue for collaboration and cooperation. So the solution to that would be a stakeholder-friendly environment, and that's exactly where HiWork comes in. So I'm going to give you guys a really high-level, simple overview of how HiWork achieves the goal of incorporating the stakeholder. And again, feel free to come in whenever you want to.
Absolutely. Colin says hi.
Hi, Colin. All right, so with HiWork, you can publish directly to Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, and also Instagram, because we do have a workaround for that. So for those of you who aren't aware, Instagram currently doesn't let third-party apps publish directly to it, but we do have a workaround. And you can know when you're creating drafts on HiWork that any drafts that you're creating are 100% accurate of what that post will look like once it goes live. So you can use whatever text, links, GIFs, photos, all that good stuff, and know that what you're creating on HiWork is exactly what it will look like live. It's a really visual application in that sense, and it's great. And we also have placeholders. And placeholders, you can also create mock-ups for those posts. However, placeholders are for the social channels that HiWork doesn't directly post to. However, we do know that some people like to use Pinterest and WordPress and YouTube all in their content strategy, especially if you want to start off on Facebook and Twitter and LinkedIn and kind of branch out as you develop your content strategy. And it's really nice to have all of your channels and all of the content you want to distribute all in one social media calendar. So as you can see, that little GIF there is talking about how you can create posts on HiWork. It's super easy, super painless. It's a breeze. All right, so speaking of calendar, our editorial calendar gives you a really clean, high-level overview of all your content and your campaigns. Like Christina was saying, myself, I use a content calendar on a daily basis, and I think it's really easy. It's really user-friendly. One of my favorite features is the drag and drop for dates, because content's always changing. What you want to produce is always changing. So being able just to change dates just with a click is great, and it's painless. As well, where most of the time you can have the high-level overview. If you just want to see an individual post, you can just hover over that post and see all of that post preview and all of that content as well. So you get a high-level view and an in-depth view at the same time. And all of the little colors that you're seeing on the end of each of those posts, they actually reflect where that post is in the approval stage. So gray would be draft, yellow would be awaiting approval, green would be approved/scheduled, and red would be rejected. As well as you can see the top of the calendar there are some faded out posts, and those are posts that have already been published. But I know for myself, I like to be able to go back and see what content I've created. It's just nice to have a point of reference as well. And now you're probably wondering, when is she going to get to the stakeholders? It's exactly where stakeholders come in with the shareable link. So like I said, this is exactly how HiWork goes about accomplishing that stakeholder involvement in the whole content creation process. So once you're happy with the content that you've created, you select it, you hit share, and a shareable link will be created. That will be sent to your stakeholders, and once they follow that link, they'll be brought to that content and that content only, where they'll be able to approve, leave comments, reject, or schedule, all that kind of stuff. And definitely, like Christina had said, I think the best thing about the shareable link is that it makes the whole process a lot easier, a lot simpler for everyone involved. You know, your stakeholders don't need to have a HiWork account. They don't need to know how HiWork works in any other way. And I think the biggest thing is that it saves time for everyone. And I don't know someone who doesn't like to save time. Yeah, it's great.
It's awesome that they don't necessarily need to have a HiWork account, because so many people don't want to sign up for one more thing.
Yeah.
It's fabulous.
Yeah. So that's HiWork in a nutshell. It's been great chatting with Christina. Love learning a few new things about content planning. So if you guys want to learn anything else about content planning or social media planning and approvals, or just HiWork, or you want to give me some feedback, we'd love to hear from you on social.
Great. Thanks again so much. That's awesome. So we're basically ready for any questions, if anyone has any. Let's see if we can get us both in the frame.
You've done very friendly.
And actually you'll see I have a HiWork sign up link, and I'll send it in the email as well. You know what I'm going to do is I think I'll just switch off to screen share. Stop the screen sharing. There we go. Now we're both in. So open up for questions. Does anyone have any questions for us? Because we're here for a few more minutes and happy to help out in any way. And thanks for attending, everyone. Thanks, HiWork team and
thanks, guys.
Antenna team for filling the room.
Moral support.
Yeah. We'll wait a few minutes, and if nobody has anything, then we'll sign out. Trying to think if I have any questions while I got you here.
Do I have any questions for you?
Yeah.
Is there like a particular feature in HiWork that you like the most? What do you think you use the most often, maybe?
I've been loving when you said the drag and drop calendar. I was like that when that came into effect. I've used it all the time,
Mm-hmm.
and I had been using a spreadsheet for like a high level, just weekly general theme thing with clients, and I've since given that up and just started sending it to them directly in HiWork as well. And now that I've been paying attention to your stakeholders, what did you call it? The social media ones that we can't schedule to, but you have placeholders. Yeah, the placeholders. Yeah. I think that's a feature I need to play with more, actually, because
it's nice to have everything just in one.
Absolutely.
One shot.
Yeah, absolutely. Good, great. Well, thanks everyone. I think that's it, and we'll send you the scheduled version and the slides afterwards, so you can always take a look, and you know where to reach us both. And we'll see you on social. All right. Thanks so much, everyone.
See ya.